All right, so you're thinking about a career as a performance video operator. Well, get ready, because on today's deep dive, we're going way past just pushing play.
Yeah, it's definitely not your grandpa's projector job.
Not at all. We're talking about creating visual magic on stage, and it's a lot more demanding and, honestly, a lot more rewarding than you might think.
Totally agree. And what I think is super interesting is how RoleCatcher, that's our main source for this deep dive, describes the job.
Oh, yeah. How do they put it?
They call it controlling the projected images of a performance based on the artistic or creative concept.
Okay, so it's not just about the tech stuff.
Not even close. We're talking about painting with light, using pixels to help tell a story right there alongside the performers.
Oh, wow. So you're almost like a visual DJ, blending those tech skills with, like, a real artistic eye.
Exactly. It's a really cool blend of the technical and the artistic.
So I'm guessing that means it's a pretty collaborative environment. You're not just like stuck behind a computer screen all day in the dark.
You got it. And you actually just hit on a really key part of the job. Rolecatcher's insights into the typical interactions of a performance video operator really highlight that collaboration aspect.
That makes a lot of sense though, right?
Mm.
I mean, you're all working towards that same goal, that shared vision of what the audience is going to experience.
It's all about teamwork. You've got to be able to work closely with a whole team. The designers, the performers, all the other tech wizards backstage.
Right. So where does all this visual storytelling magic actually happen? Is it all fancy theaters, or are we talking anything goes?
Get ready for some serious variety because this job can definitely take you beyond those velvet curtains.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Rolecatcher mentions those traditional theaters, sure, but also outdoor locations, even touring productions.
Wow, touring productions. That's wild. Bringing those visuals to life wherever the show must go on.
It's true. You could find yourself in some pretty amazing spaces.
I bet. Although I have a feeling that kind of schedule doesn't exactly scream regular work hours, does it?
You are definitely right about that. Rolecatcher is pretty upfront about those demands. Long and irregular hours are definitely part of the deal, often including evenings and weekends.
Okay, so no sleeping in on a Saturday morning. Got it.
And let's just say a love for sometimes cramped spaces might come in handy too.
Hey, who needs sunlight when you're surrounded by all that cutting-edge tech and an electrifying performance, right?
Exactly. It's all about the energy of the show.
Plus, I imagine that kind of schedule and environment attracts a certain type of person. Someone who thrives on the energy and the unexpected.
Absolutely. This isn't your average 9 to 5 gig. It takes a special kind of person. Someone dedicated and passionate about the world of performance who's also not afraid of a little hard work.
Or a lot of hard work from the sounds of it.
You said it, but hey, the payoff is worth it.
So we've established that this job, takes some serious dedication. You've got to love the unexpected and probably want to have a really, really good coffee thermos handy at all times.
Right, like industrial sized.
Exactly. But what about the actual work itself? What's a typical day or night like for a performance video operator?
Well, honestly, typical is a pretty loose term in this line of work.
Okay, fair enough. So no 2 days are the same. Is that part of the appeal?
It is for a lot of folks drawn to this field. But one thing that really jumped out at me from that Rolecatcher breakdown was all the stuff about media fragments.
Media fragments. Okay, now there's a term I haven't heard before. What exactly are we talking about here?
So think about like those really quick cuts, graphics, or even animations that flash up on a screen during like a concert or a play.
I think I know what you mean.
Basically, all those visual elements that kind of enhance the performance, those are media fragments.
Ah, okay. I'm with you now.
And as a performance video operator, you'd be the one preparing those fragments and then queuing them up at just the right moment, making sure they flow seamlessly with the live action.
So it's not just projecting a single image or video. It's like orchestrating all these visual elements to create a bigger, more dynamic experience. Man, that sounds like it takes some serious technical know-how.
It definitely does, and that's where those computers and electronic skills that Rolecatcher mentions come in. We're talking about a deep understanding of video editing software, knowing how to operate all the equipment.
Right, right. So what is this, like your average iMovie project then?
Oh, not quite. Rolecatcher actually specifically mentions industry standard software.
Yeah.
I'm talking insert industry relevant software examples, the kind of programs that can create those crazy mind-bending visual effects you see at concerts and those big theatrical productions.
Wow. Okay. So this is next level stuff. No wonder this field attracts people who love being on the cutting edge of technology. But you mentioned earlier that it's not just about tech skills. I noticed that RoleCatcher also mentioned communication and even fine arts knowledge as being important. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, it might seem surprising at first, but when you think about it, it makes sense.
How so?
Well, you're working with a whole team of artists, right? You're interpreting their creative concepts and ultimately trying to evoke some kind of feeling or response from the audience. And that takes a nuanced understanding of things like visual language, timing, even storytelling. Those are skills that you often hone by studying things like fine arts, film, even music.
Wow, I never
Oh.
would have thought about it that way. So you're saying that strong communication skills and an artistic eye are just as important as those technical abilities in this field.
That's exactly what I'm saying. It's a pretty unique combination of skills.
It really is. But let's be real for a second.
Mhm.
All this talk about late nights, demanding schedules, needing to be a tech whiz and an art aficionado,
Mhm.
it makes you wonder, what are the perks besides just the coolness factor?
Mhm.
What are the upsides?
You're right. It's not all glamour, but one thing RoleCatcher emphasizes is the creative fulfillment. You're not just another cog in the machine, you know?
Yeah,
You're actually using your skills to shape the audience
right.
experience.
You're literally part of the show.
Exactly. And you get to play with all the coolest tech toys. Plus, like we said, every day is different, so there's always something new to learn or a new challenge to tackle. It's definitely a career path for those who crave variety and who thrive in those kind of high energy environments.
Okay, so it's not just about the tech. It's about pushing creative boundaries and being a part of something bigger than yourself. That's pretty cool when you think about it. But let's be practical for a second here. What's the job market like for someone who's thinking about this as a career? Is this a thriving field, or am I looking at a lifetime of starving artist struggles?
Well, I've got some good news for you. The job outlook for performance video operators is actually looking pretty positive.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, RoleCatcher cites a projected growth rate of 5% between 2019 and 2029. And honestly, it's not that surprising, especially with how popular immersive theater and all those large-scale projection mapping installations have become.
That's great to hear. It sounds like the demand for these specialized skills is only going to increase as technology gets even more, I don't know, complex and audiences crave those more immersive experiences.
I totally agree. It's a field that's constantly growing.
Speaking of evolving technology,
Yeah.
there was one thing I was really interested in that RoleCatcher mentioned.
What's that?
It was in the industry trends section. They were talking about virtual reality and augmented reality.
Oh, yeah. Those are game changers.
Totally. So are you saying that performance video operators could actually be shaping the future of how we experience performance, like with VR and AR and all that?
Absolutely. And get this, RoleCatcher actually predicts that VR and AR are going to become even bigger parts of performance in the future. Imagine that, shaping how audiences experience theater in the metaverse or something. That's the kind of cool stuff this job could lead to.
Okay, now we're talking next level stuff. This isn't just about projecting images on a flat screen anymore. It's about creating entirely new worlds for audiences to step into, right? Almost like stepping inside a video game, but for live performance.
You're getting it. It's a really exciting time to be involved in this field, especially with all the rapid advancements in technology that are constantly pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
So with all this amazing potential, let's talk about what it actually takes to break into the industry. What does the career path look like for someone who's just starting out in performance video?
Well, RoleCatcher lays out a pretty clear progression. You typically start with those entry-level positions.
So are you saying that someone with zero experience could actually land a job, an entry-level gig in this world?
Totally.
What would they be doing?
Think of it kind of like an apprenticeship.
Okay. RoleCatcher describes the entry level as you're assisting those more experienced people, learning the ropes by actually doing the work.
Yeah.
So you're soaking up all that knowledge. You're getting a feel for the rhythm of the job, maybe even troubleshooting some technical issues as they pop up.
Right. You're in the trenches. That's a great way to learn, though, right? By getting your hands dirty.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens once you've kind of paid your dues at that entry level? Where does the path go from there?
That's when you level up to a junior role,
Okay.
and RoleCatcher says that comes with more responsibility. So now you might be the one prepping those more complex media fragments we were talking about before, collaborating more directly with the team, really starting to hone those skills.
So you're going from apprentice to journeyman, right?
Exactly. Getting those creative juices flowing a little more. I like it. So when do you get to call the shots? What's the mastery level of this whole thing?
That's where things get really interesting. When you hit that senior performance video operator level, you're not just executing someone else's vision anymore. You're leading the charge.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Yeah. At that point, you could be leading entire teams of video pros developing those innovative visual concepts, even researching and implementing all that cutting-edge tech we were talking about, like VR and AR.
Okay, so you're basically the conductor of this visual orchestra, shaping the future of how we see and experience performances.
Exactly. That's a great way to put it.
But what if someone doesn't want to lead a whole team? What if they'd rather, just do their own thing? Are there other ways to grow in this field?
Totally. And RoleCatcher actually talks about that a bit in their advancement paths section. They point out that your career isn't on rails, You have choices.
I like that. I like that a lot.
So some people, they might move into more of a management role, becoming like a video production manager or even a technical director.
Okay.
Other people, they might find their niche by like specializing in a certain type of performance.
So you could be the go-to visual guru for like Broadway musicals.
Exactly. Or the maestro of holographic rock concerts.
That's so cool. See, the possibilities are pretty much endless.
They really are. And as you progress in your career, don't underestimate those networking opportunities that RoleCatcher mentions.
Right, right.
Like going to industry events, connecting with other artists, other tech people, because it's not just about what you know, it's also about who you know.
For sure. It's all about those connections.
Exactly. And how you can all like learn and grow from each other's experiences.
That's such a good point. Well, I think this has been a really eye-opening deep dive. It seems like to be a performance video operator, it's not just about those technical skills, right? It's about embracing creativity, being a good collaborator, and always being ready to, like, learn new things as technology changes.
You nailed it. And while we've been talking a lot about this performance video operator title, remember what RoleCatcher said about all those other titles out there?
Oh, yeah, they had a bunch of them.
Right, like sound operator, lighting designer, all kinds of things. It just goes to show you that these core skills, they can take you in so many different directions.
So this deep dive was really just the beginning. I love it.
It's about opening your mind to a whole world of possibilities.
Exactly. It's a career path that's just as exciting and multifaceted as those incredible visual stories you're dreaming of creating. And who knows, maybe someday we'll be talking about your amazing work in the world of performance.
That's what I love to hear.
All right, until next time, keep those creative sparks flying.